matchups, where if you play without it, you prioritize unfair matchups. And speaking of that,
Unfair matchups. This is the one that we have here. So we have the correct deck list here. So indeed, we have Storm here. Talk to me, Andreas.
the Epic Storm. So first of all, Brian Cook is smiling somewhere, and
He must be watching.
second of all, this is a Dark Ritual Storm deck, but we're using almost a rainbow mana base so that we can play Veil of Summer, Brainstorm, and Gamble in the same deck alongside Dark Ritual. So we're really stretching the mana base to have the absolute best card quality across the board. We're looking to cast Besiege the Mirror, hopefully going for Lethal Tendrils or going for Gaia's Will, replaying Dark Rituals, finishing the job that way. We also have Song of Creation if you're somewhat low resourced. And we have Echo of Eons, very potent with Lion's Eye Diamond. It basically turns Lion's Eye Diamond into Black Lotus and Echo of Eons into Time Twister. And I'm a vintage guy, so I do love some of that. So blazing fast combo deck on paper, and then it's going to use Veil of Summer to hopefully break through some opposing counterspells.
All right, I like it. Let's go to the other deck list here. So if we're correct, this is going to be Blue-Black Post. This is a deck that has recently been popping up a bit out of nowhere. It feels to me.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. A bit out of nowhere, a few months ago, I remember this started out as more of an experimental deck. I believe it started off as a Chalice deck, but I'm missing that from this specific deck list. It looks like Disruptive Flute has found its way into the main deck instead, which is pretty cool to say. How can I cover these show and tell and doomsday decks that are popping up in the format? But yeah, this is a big mana deck. I will classify it as a control deck that's trying to win with card advantage from stock up, landing Ugin for inevitability. Karn is very, very strong against, Mystic Forge, equipment, vials, and stuff like that. And then the dreaded Kozilek's command. What a good mana sink here. And last mention to the mana base, Planar Nexus and Urza's Tower. Very, very potent. 4 mana as early as turn 2.
Nice. Love the Singleton Cyclonic Rift in there too. That's pretty funny. Let's go to the games. I mean, Singleton Cyclonic Rift, if you have the mana, just getting rid of everything, it does make sense. I
It
haven't seen
does.
it ever.
It combos a little bit. Well, it's viable because of Waterlock Teachings being able to go and grab you an instant from the deck. So you actually have more access to it than you might give it credit for initially.
Okay. This is going to be difficult because the Blue-Black Cloudpost deck did mulligan to 5 against Storm. Not where you want to be.
I hope so. One silver lining could be that Stefan is aware of the matchup, and that's why. But if this comes as a surprise that this is a blazing fast combo deck, that could spell trouble for Stefan.
Yeah, because this is a closed deck list, so I think we could just perfectly see turn 1 win here from Aarón, right?
Well, if my opponent goes Ursa's Tower, I'm thinking they're playing Mystic Forge. That would be my first guess, especially with the double mulligan.
Yeah, if you've seen the land here from Stefan, you just go for it whenever you can. That would be my
I would
guess.
say so because the most likely deck my opponent's playing is Mystic Forge, which is a mono colorless deck with no ways to interact. So Stefan is secretly hoping, first of all, that the opponent goes off turn 1, but also that there's a Force of Will in the mix. But for Aarón, I think this is just go time if it's possible.
And we may see that here after the brainstorm, shuffle away some bad cards or cards we do not want, playing the petal. So yeah, if you're Aarón, you're just going to try and go for it here, I imagine. And if we want to win from this spot, what do we need to do?
Yeah, this deck is a little bit different than the Ad Nauseam Tendrils deck that we showed earlier. So sometimes this deck will have to do something like Lion's Eye Diamond, discard our Echo of Eons, or gamble and hope that we don't lose the Lion's Eye Diamond on the random discard. So I guess we will just see where this turn goes. It does require quite a bit to try and go off here.
I mean, Aarón is taking count of the storm, so I think
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see it. Like, what's the storm count? We had Brainstorm, we have the Artifact, we have Lion's Eye Diamond here, we have Veil of Summer. That needs to get forced, otherwise it's just have to. Even though you probably don't have another force will, you just need to do this.
And at that point, we also know what the last card is. So I really like this. Also, heads up play by Stefan here, who could theoretically say, well, if I blow this force, I mean, I don't, have a force anyway, so why should I do it? But he knows that Echo of Eons might be the card coming, and he could draw into a pile of forces now, so they need to be live. So heads up play here in, let's call it a bad situation from Stefan.
Yeah. Okay, but now this is always a risk because you only have 1 Lotus. So it's possible, depending on what you draw, that you may just have to pass the turn. And who knows, maybe Stefan is able to just deploy like the One Ring, and suddenly this game shifts.
I absolutely agree. So this is where it gets a little bit wonky. This is not a deterministic cast 3 rituals, besiege for Gaia's Will, and win the game with the lethal tendrils. This is more of a let's see if my 7 cards can match your 7 cards. So absolute worst case, Aarón will pass the turn with 2 more resources than Stefan, having 3 mana sources on the battlefield. Both players having 7 cards in hand. That's the absolute worst case.
I think storm count is like 7, something like that. If I count
I would
correctly.
just say we're good on Storm.
Yeah. Okay, we're passing the turn, so not going for it here. Let's see what Stefan found here. Khan.
Oh,
That's good because it shuts down the artifacts.
Pairing the tower with Planar Nexus, getting unmulliganed
Yeah.
by the draw 7.
Thank you very much.
And then landing a Karn, which is now at least kills 2 mana sources on the side of Aarón, but also any future ones showing up.
Now, is this game over for Aarón, or can we wiggle our way out of this?
Since we're a deck with 4 Dark Rituals, we have counterplay here. I would assume that there's also a way to bounce a Karn in the Burning Wish sideboard. Don't quote me on that though. But yeah, this is big advantage for Stefan.
Okay, we will get the One Ring. That does make sense. Very powerful artifact indeed. And I guess it's just going to be a passing of the turn here in just a second. And then we will see what Aarón is able to do here. Do we have these Dark Rituals to try and go for the combo? Or is this card so good that it's just going to shut down the entire game plan?
That is the question on everybody's lips right now.
I see a lot of artifacts in Aaron's hand. Let's see. I'm trying to deduce which one.
Right. So there's also a red card here. Could be Burning Wish. Burning Wish, a card that's super flexible.
But this is important because you can see Aarón, he's counting. This is what typically Storm players do, right? You can see them thinking in their head, okay, how much going to go? What's the Storm game going to be? Because Stefan is at a healthy 19 life. So we do need to get high enough if you want to go for it this turn.
This looks like Defense Grid, which is a card that right now doesn't do much because Aarón has no way to continue on that specific turn. So in theory, Stefan could just say, well, this Ursus Tower I'm going to put to the side. I'm always going to use that to cast my Force Will for the future.
That does make sense. And I see a Disruptive Flutes. So if you're Stefan, my guess would just be slam down that One Ring, or is there a reason not to do that?
Yeah, so some of these Storm decks have clever ways to get around the One Ring via Burning Wish sideboard. But I didn't take a good enough glimpse at the list to tell you which one Aarón may or may not be running. So putting the One Ring here and taking a turn off sounds fine because it protects you from lethal tendrils, lethal grape shot. So very few things can go wrong if we do that, I feel like.
We do gain a bit of life here. And then we play the One Ring. Okay, that works. Gain protection, just going to draw immediately. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe did they miss the life gain? Or is that not correct?
Cloudpost enters tapped. You're thinking about Glimmerpost?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought it was Glimmerpost. Didn't quite catch that.
Glimmerpost enters untapped and has no mana bonus.
Right. So no life gain.
That might come next turn, and that's actually a very, very important part of the deck to make sure that all of this lost life from the One Ring can get rebought.
Doesn't really matter because Stefan actually has gotten Mycosynth Lattice, and if he is able to deploy that next turn, it is just a definitely game over moment. So Aarón needs to go for it this turn. So I imagine he's going to try and do everything he can to make that happen. Just a gamble. What do you want to gamble for?
Right. What do we want to gamble for? We're gambling for a spot on day 2 here at Eternal Weekend. Both players hitting. But let's try and be serious here for a moment. We need an answer to Karn, or we need enough rituals to power through it, because we're also working with One Ring protection on the side of the opponent. So there's a lot of complications here. I wouldn't be able to tell you, so I guess I'll just be sitting this one out and watch the action unfold.
My guess would be, since all the artifacts don't make mana, like something like Dark Ritual.
Yeah.
How else are we gonna win?
Yeah, I like it.
Let's see. Of course, now the gamble is it in hand? Because
yeah,
that
is
scary.
Let's be the 1 in 6 chance that we lose our tutor target here.
And okay, so that was useless anyway. So
yeah,
feeling good about that, I guess.
Copy of Defense Grid does absolutely nothing here. Okay. Especially because the game is going to be over if we pass the turn. So we're playing with house money here.
See, I think that was the Dark Ritual that we needed. And then, Beseech the Mirror. So I imagine that we just gambled for Dark Ritual to be able to play the Beseech, or we had the Ritual and we wanted to get the Beseech. That would be my guess.
Yep, that makes a ton of sense. Here's Stefan reminding himself there's the Defense Grid in play, so put the hand down and watch the action unfold.
What's that one? I don't
recognize
that.
I think this is Song of Creation. Song of Creation, a cool card we might be able to get on screen. A Teamer colored enchantment that every time you cast a spell, you draw 2 cards, and you may play an additional land each turn. So now, if you play enough zeros here, we could have some fireworks.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I think we can actually win here through a Khan, but we still have the One Ring protection, so we have to be worried
And
about that. So,
yep,
yeah, and I think you can see Aarón is just conceding because okay, we got to draw some cards, but it's not enough. So
right.
it was close. We maybe could have been able to find something that could save us here, but in the end, it was not good enough.
It looks like there's a copy of Approach of the Second Sun in the sideboard,
Ooh,
which is a card that beats the One Ring.
oh, that's pretty cool. Talk to me here. What do you want to do?
So this is first of all, this is a Burning Wish deck. We're going to have a little bit of a theme here with these 2 decks. So we're going to be doing incredibly light sideboarding, if any, here, because a lot of these cards you want for Burning Wish. So let me just quickly see what Boomerang Basics, the wording on that card is.
I don't think I've ever heard about that card. Is that a new one for you?
I gave it a read yesterday, and then I went to sleep. So 1 mana sorcerer, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you control that permanent, draw a card. So essentially, you want to board this card in when you expect hate pieces. So in this matchup with closed deck list, you will be expecting Chalice of the Void, which your 1-drop does not kill anyway. So it kind of, it doesn't make much sense, right? So the 1 copy of Defense Grid, that's what I think we'll see. We'll get added to the deck here, but it's going to be very minor adjustments. I'm trying to get over the finish line against the dreaded blue post deck.
That makes sense to me. And now let's watch the blue post deck's sideboard. If you're playing the blue post deck, is there anything that you really want to have against the Epic Storm? Because these games can be over very fast.
I'll be looking for the Force and Negation number, which was at an exact 0, so that was not exciting. It looks like the cards in the sideboard that we're actually going to bring in is in general only going to be a couple of Hull Breachers. It's going to be 4 Barragoyfs. It's going to be 2 Hydroblasts. The rest is like a Karn sideboard. So I could actually see a number of Hull Breachers. You have a Dismember in your main deck that's very unexciting. You have Cyclonic Rift in your main deck that's very unexciting. So looks like a clean 2-for-2 swap for me. And then we're trying to flip the tables here and play Hull Breacher into the draw 7.
Yeah, I think like maybe from both players 1 or 2 cards, and that's about it.
Yep.
So yeah, let's see if we have a very fast game again here. We're going to dive in. Of course, again, we've talked about this being on the play important, especially for the Storm player, so we can see their hands. Okay, looks like both are going to be doing a mulligan here. Both are going to be going into a mulligan to 6. I imagine that this is something that you don't really want, but well, if we can go off turn 1, it doesn't really matter with how many cards you're going to start.
Right, but we also have the context of the opponent knows that we're a blazing fast combo deck, so we should also give credit to their
Definitely.
keep. And then there's a new sub game. This is kind of how Oops All Spells oftentimes plays out, where I know you can win turn 1, but you also know that I know that, so maybe I'll just play a discard spell instead of winning on turn 1, or
Exactly.
keep some slower hands because you're going to have a force anyway, right?
I did see in Stefan's hand a Force of Negation, so that's a good one. But of course, we playing against the Epic Storm, so discard is a thing. We shall see what happens. But again, Surveil land here, very, very good. So I imagine we're just looking for discard spells if we need them.
So the thing is, I actually think that Aaron is only leaning on Veil of Summer and Defense Grid as interactive spells.
No
I think that was
discard
the
spell.
one Thoughtseize in the sideboard. So this is actually a lot different than the Storm deck we featured earlier, which had the full 8 discard spells, and thus, had Veil of Summer come and get me typed over the forehead.
Yeah, same thing, like discard or Veil of Summer. They try and do similar things. I like it.
Yeah, it's counterspell protection, essentially.
Indeed. Let's try and keep track of Storm. We'll see if we can make that. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. So we have Lion's Eye Diamond here being played. Storm is 1. And then we have Mox Opal. Storm is 2. Lotus Petal. Storm is 3. So now we can tap that Mox Opal. Good stuff. Okay, what do you want to search for here?
So Burning Wish, it looks like Lion's Eye Diamond was not sacrificed in response, which makes me a little bit curious that this is a setup situation. Also, Stefan is kindly asking, did you mean to sacrifice the Lion's Eye Diamond in response? It's not because I have a force, of course.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, very clever, very clever.
Gentleman play.
Stefan, and this is important because, like, just make sure communication is very important in Paper Magic.
Yep.
Right? Like, is this where we are? Is this the phase? Is this what you want to be doing? It is important. We need to be very clear about that.
So we're still counting Storm here. Is this a draw 7 to follow up with? I'm trying to think about reasons to play out the second opal.
Just increase the storm count. Echo of
Yeah.
Eons. Yeah, we're gonna go for it here. Let's see if we can make that happen. Now, this is not game over. We saw it last time.
Oh, yeah.
Like we gave our opponent the Khan, so we could be in an issue. But then again, we could give ourselves the win condition. So
On
we have to do this.
on paper, the storm deck is now has a small advantage, which yeah, it's pretty interesting because this could surely backfire. It's very hard to win from just one pedal in play. I really like this move of casting Burning Wish, and I actually think we would have seen the one-off discard spell come into the equation. You know, tutor for Burning Wish now, then play Opal, Thoughtseize the Burning Wish for Thoughtseize, Thoughtseize the opponent, and then go for the draw 7. So I think this has ended up being 1 mana cheaper than Aarón actually wanted it to be because the Burning Wish got countered.
Okay, I dig it. So I think Storm is now 7, if I remember correctly. And there I do see a Tendrils of Agony.
I see a natural Tendrils, which is the dream.
Yeah, but can we get enough mana here? Are those 2 Dark Rituals?
They sure look like Dark Rituals to me.
And we have 1 black mana floating, so the question is, can we have this storm count high enough? Or are we just one bit short?
I guess they were enough Dark Rituals.
Okay, we have seen that incorrectly. I can't really make it out.
Yeah, Chrome Moxen, I think.
Oh yeah, it's possible. We'll find out in just a second here. Just playing a land, passing up the turn. So Aarón not having, yeah, indeed. Now I see it. When it's on front, it looked black, but it was actually an artifact. Okay, so I'm sure that Aarón would have preferred to have like a much more explosive draws here.
Aaron's hand is terrible now.
Yeah, not a lot of fire in this one.
Because even any spell to imprint to Chromox last turn would have done it.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, that was really unlucky.
What we are surveying something away, and is that a Dark Ritual then? I don't know. We can't really make it out. End of turn here. Let's see if we can search up an island. Is that going to be just a basic? Yes, it is. Okay. And if you're Stefan, I can imagine that they will just dodge the bullet there.
Yeah, for sure. And this has a little bit the writings on the wall of the first game, where if the initial onslaught doesn't work, the Cloudpost deck does such a good job of closing down the game. Especially, I think this turn is going to see some kind of mana burst because, okay, no mana burst. So I guess there's no One Ring or Karn in the mix.
Okay, we'll see what the follow-up is. I mean, the Cloudpost deck does have like a built-in Null Rod, which is good against this deck in the form of Karn, so it is very scary giving them that. Okay, you can see Aarón thinking here. How can we navigate this to possibly try and win the game here? But I don't see a line. Now, I'm not a Storm player, but it is difficult.
We're looking for a Burning Wish target that is an action spell on its own. The best one right now is probably going to be Beseech the Mirror or Echo of Eons. But I'm very suspicious that Stefan passing the turn with this mana up means Hull Breacher. Let's see if I'm right about that, because that surely makes the draw 7 absolutely abysmal.
He must have something. There's no way that he just drew nothing or decided, yeah, I'm just not going to play it.
Maybe we're going to see the blowout here. This could be the biggest blowout. 6 mana draw 7. The opponent has 1 blue and 2 colorless. What could it be?
Oh, yeah, Stefan is reaching for the hand. Again, and I also see a force negation here too. Yikes! That is so unfortunate. That's so painful.
The pirate is here to basically take all the treasure.
Of the hand. That's backbreaking, and both games actually the Echo of Eons giving the advantage back to Stefan is not how I expected these games to go.
Not twice in a row, and we actually got to see the Merfolk pirate catching the draw 7. This is beautiful. We want more of that. Not necessarily unique stuff, but then at least special stuff on stream. That's why we love to showcase these games. If it's just, bread and butter, business as usual, what's the fun in that? But we've just seen so much special and unique stuff all weekend.
Yeah, indeed. And you can see that like Magic is a thing where especially with these reset cards, if I can call them like that, you don't know what's coming, right? And so you're going to play a bit in the dark. And